Welcome everybody to today where we celebrate the Sunday of the 8th week of Ordinary Time. Today, if we pay attention to the first reading, notice that there is this line to which it really continued to struck me, to which it should be something that each and every one of us should continue to reflect upon. So how does this line go? Therefore, if you hearken to my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my special possession, dearer to me than all other people, though all the earth is mine. What does Jesus continue to imply as we continue to reflect upon this line? All of us here needs to continue to be attentive and listening to the voice of Jesus, to which it is clearly Jesus that is continuing to speak to each and every one of us. Yet, how well do we continue to pay attention to what exactly Jesus continues to desire out of each and every one of us? That is one of the major questions to which Jesus wants to brought forth amongst each and every one of us here, especially as we continue to progress throughout our journey of faith. Each and every one of us here are considered special people. So sometimes we can struggle to the point where we lose track of who we are as an individual. And when we continue to struggle, we will come to recognize and question, why is it that we are going through what we are going through? When Jesus tells each and every one of us, keep his commandments, he doesn't really mean keep it for one time. He wants all of us to continue to discover the life of Jesus as we come to further recognize that a lot of pressure is brought forth amongst each and every one of us here. But he still wants each and every one of us here to remain vigilant so that all of us here can clearly recognize the voice of Jesus so that we can be able to fully unite ourselves with Christ. That is what Jesus wants to continue to desire out of each and every one of us, especially as we continue to progress throughout our journey of faith. The next line, you shall be to me a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. Notice that Jesus wants each and every one of us here to treat God's creation with all of respect. As we continue to progress throughout our lives, it can be very, very easy to be carried away with what is going on in our current status of life, to the point where we fully don't recognize what we are doing. And when we come to fully realize that we've done something wrong, we can note that it is something that cannot be taken back. But however, we can continue to change ourselves so that we can become better versions of who we are as an individual. So Jesus continues to invite each and every one of us here to continue to love other people so that each and every one of us can continue to recognize what God has planned for each and every one of us here. And if we look at the second reading for today, notice that it is stated, Christ, while we were still helpless, yet died at the appointed time for the ungodly. Indeed, only with difficulty does one die for a just person. Perhaps a good person, one might even find the courage to die. Notice here that Jesus is referring to the amount of sacrifices that we should continue to offer when we continue to go and serve God. Sometimes we need to give up a version of ourselves so that we can continue to go and fulfill the good for the many. And even though we may find ourselves helpless, each and every one of us here will come to recognize that all of us are doing it so that we can go to continue to reach the goal to which God has set and planned for each and every one of us. And all of us, as we continue to progress throughout our journey of faith, will come to further recognize that we still need God's help. So if we continue to have the courage to continue to serve God, chances are each and every one of us here will recognize the love to which Jesus has brought forth to each and every one of us, as Jesus had to do a lot for each and every one of us in order for us to continue to remain in Jesus and be saved. So that is what Jesus wants to proclaim to each and every one of us as we continue to recognize our own faith. Now, how about the Holy Gospel? Notice that Jesus had moved his heart with pity, like sheep without a shepherd. Jesus is our good shepherd, and we are the sheep. All of us, as Catholics, will come to recognize that we are not complete, but we continue to need Jesus to help guide each and every one of us. So all of us, as we continue to progress, need to continue to recognize our own actions first and ask God, how can we continue to change ourselves so that we can go and bear fruit, so that we can produce the good works to which God has placed and bestowed amongst each and every one of us. Because Jesus continues to state in today's Holy Gospel, the harvest is abundant, but the laborers are few. So ask the master of the harvest to send out laborers for his harvest. Notice that although there were many that were called, only a few that were chosen. And how do we come to recognize that we are the chosen human beings? We first need to start off with prayer, allowing the Lord to continue to speak to each and every one of us, and come to question, what exactly does the Lord continue to desire out of each and every one of us? And what can we do to continue to fulfill what the Lord has asked out of each and every one of us? For me, personally, although I may be asked to do a lot of tasks, I realize that I come to struggle. But Jesus expects each and every one of us here to continue to give it our best, especially after all of the pains and all of the struggles to which is placed amongst each and every one of us here. Notice that in the gospel, Jesus has sent his 12 chosen disciples, to which the disciples were very, very close to Jesus, yet Jesus gave them the power to cure the unclean spirits so that all of them can continue to remain purified. Each and every one of us here are granted the same. All of us have this capability of being able to go and spread the word of God. Why should we continue to spread the word of God? Because we got to come to realize that other people are following us in our shoes. Sometimes we may not recognize what other people have struggled through. Sometimes we don't even recognize our own struggles because we are dealing with these struggles. So each and every one of us, as we continue to progress throughout our journey of faith, will need to realize that we need to continue to fulfill what we need to fulfill in order for all of us to continue to recognize the presence of Christ, so that each and every one of us can continue to go and spread love to other people just like how God continues to spread love to each and every one of us here. And notice here too, Jesus had stated in the end of today's Holy Gospel, without cost you have received, without cost you are to give. That is the definition of true love. Love is not about getting repayment. Love isn't about acquiring the need for our own selves. But love requires each and every one of us here to go and spread the good news so that all of us can continue to fully recognize that we need to spread love to other people by performing service. Love is unconditional. It is not conditional. Each and every one of us have been challenged throughout our faith to the point where when we continue to love other people, we really don't recognize what Jesus has done for each and every one of us. So Jesus wants each and every one of us here to continue to go and love other people so that all of us can continue to unite with Christ. Thank you to each and every one of you guys for taking the time to listen to this reflection. And for more videos like this, please consider liking and subscribing and commenting down below any questions that you may have about the faith. Thank you.